Hello everyone and welcome. My name is Saleh Al-Minji, CEO of Icon Traders, and welcome to episode 6 of Rate My Trades. So, right now let's just start it off, mention the elephant in the room. Right now some of you are probably wondering why I'm wearing a dressing gown. Now, luckily for you, I can guarantee you 100 million % that should be one of the least of your concerns right now, because there's things to do, money to make, trades to place, and money to make. So let's get started. So in today's episode, what we're going to do is we're going to go through last week's events that have affected the markets in any way. We're going to go through the trades that we've got open from last week, so rate my trades that time of the week again. Next week's events, so all the events that are going to happen affecting the markets for the week coming. We're going to look at some trading tips, so tip of the week, and also we've got an announcement for an event coming up shortly. But let's get started with last week's events. So, what happened last week? Now, starting off with Wednesday the 17th of April, we had the CAD trade balance released. Now, this was forecasted to be minus 3.5 billion. So CAD, this is for the Canadian dollar. However, it was actually minus 2.9 billion. So that was a lot better than the minus 3.5 billion that was forecasted, and it was reflected in the market. Now, also on Wednesday the 17th of April, there was the AUD employment change release. So statistics were released on that. Now, with this one now, it was forecasted to be 15.2 thousand. So that would be 15.2 thousand new jobs in the economy. And the actual figure was 25.7 thousand, so a lot bigger, almost 10,000 more jobs than forecasted. That is very good for the economy. Now, moving on, Thursday, on the 18th of April, there was the core retail sales release for the Canadian dollar. Now, this one shows us the change in the total value of everything sold in the retail market within the economy. So for this one, the Canadian dollar on the 18th of April, it was forecasted to be 0.2%. However, it was actually 0.6%. Now, this was very good for the CAD, Canadian dollar, and we'll get to that later on in the show when we look at CAD CHF, which, if you've been watching the episodes, you'll know that we had a sell. USD, so also on the 18th of April, we had the core retail sales release. Now, same as what was released on the same day for the CAD, but this was just for the dollar as well. Now, this was forecasted to be 0.7%, and it was actually 1.2%. So once again, the actual figure was higher than forecasted, which is good for the economy. Now, last week, so unfortunately now, we've got some bad news. So on the 21st, which was a Sunday, there was a series of mass bombings in Sri Lanka. Now, as a result of this, there's been a minimum of 25 people dead and 200 people injured. Now, these bombings took place in Negombo and Colombo and several other places around the country. And they were mainly so there were 2 churches that were targeted, and then a number of 5-star hotels. This is a terrible time. People are blaming different parties, the usual. I'm not going to mention them, but till this point now, we're still unsure of who is behind these attacks. Condolences to everyone involved, and if you know anyone that was involved in any of these, then big sorry to you, and we pray for you in this time. But now, moving on. So, it's now that time of the show where we go on to rate my trades. So let's get started then. So starting off with USD MXN. Now, as you can see here from the chart, if you can remember how USD MXN was looking last week, from the screenshot is going to appear on the screen now. Yeah, so as you can see, progress has been made. Last week it looks a bit like a shooting star, that candlestick. However, when we do come into the 4-hour chart now, we can see that the Ichimoku cloud was tested, and now the candlesticks have gone within the Ichimoku cloud, and it seems they're going to be breaking on top. So this is a perfect time for this trade. Couldn't have predicted it better myself, although I was the one that predicted it. So I must be a genius. Moving on, EUR USD. So now with this trade now, thinking back to how it looked last week, it's going to come up on the screen now. You will see that everything's going according to plan. If we are to come into the 30-minute chart now, we will see that they're dropped nicely below the Ichimoku cloud. Everything's just working. Don't need to say too much on this one. We can move on. So, EUR NZD. Now with this one, we had a sell, originally opened this sell quite some time ago as well. And as you can see, so I don't know if you can remember from the last week, we did say that if it continued to rise, then we would have to close this trade. Now, as you can see, so it did continue to rise. So this is a trade that we are going to call off. So right at this point, we can close that. And yes, I failed on this one trade. And if you've been watching the show from the beginning, you will know that this doesn't happen often. But as a trader, a quick tip for all of you out there, please bear in mind that everybody loses trades. It's all part of the process, it's all part of the game. If you're not losing trades, then you're not winning trades. So this is a trade that we're watching for quite some time, and it was going quite badly, but because of the tip that I gave you in the previous episode, you will see that from looking at the 30-minute chart, we haven't actually been in this trade for quite some time, because we look at the smaller time period, and if the candlesticks are above the Ichimoku cloud, then we close it. But moving on, so CAD CHF. Now with this one now, as we can see here, we can see that with this one it's also gone quite badly. Moving into the 30-minute chart on this one, you'll be able to see that what happened here was the candlesticks, they came up to our line of support resistance and tested it, then broke through, and then since then it seems the old line of resistance has now become a line of support. So what I've done now is I've closed this trade. It was closed already because of the smaller time frame rule, that tip that I gave you in the previous episode. And now, just like what we did recently, I think it was with EUR NOK, then we're just going to leave this closed until we can confirm that there's been a test on this new line of support. And if this old resistance line has truly become a new line of support, then we will be looking to buy this. If we're looking to buy CAD CHF, then we'll be able to have a nice decent take profit of around 0.77. But moving on now, so USD CAD. So with this one now, if you remember how it looked last week, the picture is going to come up on the screen now. you'll see that everything's going perfectly with this trade, and we couldn't have asked for anything better, to be honest. On the 4-hour chart, you can see this was the old support line that we had put in place. Everything's just gone above the Ichimoku cloud beautifully, and there's not much else I can say on this one. Just got to keep it moving quickly. Fantastic. We just move down. We can put our stop loss there. Okay, fantastic. Now at this point, what we're going to do is going to move on. EURAUD. Now with this one we had a sell. As you can see right now, this sell isn't going perfectly according to plan because the candlesticks on the smaller 30-minute chart are above the Ichimoku cloud. Now that's not something that we would have open if you followed my advice. But on the week chart now, we can see that it does look like there has been a line of resistance around this level. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to plot this in and continue waiting. I believe if you remember how this looked in previous weeks, the screenshot of last week is going to come up on the screen now. You will know that this line was put in from before anyway, so if it does break to the top of this resistance line, then what I'm personally going to do is I'm going to look at just calling it a day and leaving this trade, because I don't really see a potential buy, long-term buy in EURAUD. It's not something that I would want to get myself into. Moving on. So EUR and OK. Now with this one, so this was the one that we said there was old support line became the resistance line, and now we are selling it. So this is no longer a buy. We can remove this arrow, and coming into the 30-minute chart now, what I really find beautiful about this is, as you can see, since the candlesticks on the 30-minute chart broke to the bottom of the old support line, they've really come back and tested the support line as a new resistance line. And we can see that once here, twice here. It looks like it wanted to do it 3 times, and it seems as if it's going to drop below the Ichimoku cloud again. And we're just waiting for it to do that and then soar to the bottom and hit our take profit nicely. Natural gas. I see everyone buying and selling and shorting the natural gas. Okay, so with this one now, I can't even talk too much. I can't, because if you remember how this looked last week, the picture's going to come up on the screen now. You'll see that this is going perfectly according to plan. It's this regression trend that I've put in. I don't know if you can see it. You need to zoom quite far out to see it properly. But this regression trend is a real money maker. I said this last week. I'll say it again this week. Place this trade. Don't be too late. I told you on this date. What day is this? The 23rd of April. Remember this. Don't be that guy that is looking back thinking, oh, I should have placed it. Place the trade. That's it. Khalas. Moving on. Gold. So now, what do we have here with gold? So I've actually closed this trade because it came very close to my take profit, and I felt that I saw no reason in holding it open. Look at it. If you can remember how this looked last week in last week's episode, the picture's going to come up on the screen now. You'll know that I do know what I'm talking about. I'm not just a pretty face. Yeah. Moving on. So now, last week's trading tip was that silver and gold tend to mimic each other. Now, from what you can see on the gold chart, you can see that since we sold silver last week, everything's going perfectly. So last 4 or 5 candlesticks, all coming down. Same as in silver. Our silver trade is nicely in profit right now. And yeah, there's not much else I can say on that one. Moving on. So, right now with all the trades that we've currently got open, 3 out of 10 were bad. So that is 7 out of 10 which are going perfectly. As I said, as a trader you will lose trades. Not all of your trade, not every single trade you place is going to work. It's not always going to bang. But you just need to keep with your strategy, and yeah, consistency is key. As long as you're practicing it properly and not going off whims and, you know, just doing all this emotional trading, then things should go well. If you'd like to learn the strategy that I use to place my trades, you can click the link below to the Icon Traders trading course and you will learn everything there. But moving on, so now it is that part of the show where we go through next week's events. So next week, things to look out for that may affect the market. So Wednesday, 24th of April, there's going to be the AUD, so Australian dollar CPI release. This is predicted to be 1.5%. Consumer Price Index, that's what CPI stands for, and this shows you the general price of a basket of goods within that economy. So if it's going up by 1.5%, that means that it's predicted for, if the basket was originally £100, let's say, then it's predicted to go up by 1.5%. Now 1.5% of £100, that is £1.50. So if it was £100 last week, £101.50 next week. Not weeks, because it's measured every month, but you get the idea. So it is currently forecasted to be 1.5%. If the actual figure is higher than this, it's good for the economy, think about buying. If the actual figure is lower than 1.5%, then that is bad for the economy. People see it as bad for the economy, so people will be selling, so you would also be thinking to sell. These releases often just have knee reactions in the market, so the effects in the markets aren't always great. So don't think about buying for the next 2 to 3 weeks on just a simple CPI release, because you need to look at and take other factors into account. Now, Thursday, 25th of April. At this point now, we have the US dollar GDP release, so that's gross domestic product. This shows us the aggregate value of goods and services within a market, and if the value has gone up or down. Now, this is released quarterly, so 4 times a year, and for the 25th of April for the US dollar, it's currently forecasted to be 2.2%. So once again, if higher, looking to buy; if lower, looking to sell. But make sure you do use your technical analysis alongside those. Now, Tuesday, 30th of April, we also have the US dollar consumer confidence index. Now, with this figure, this shows us basically how confident people are within the economy about the economy. So 40% of this statistic is made up of what people currently think about the economy, and 60% is made up of their predictions for the future within that economy. Now, we currently don't have a forecast for this, however, one will be released shortly, closer to the date, and when it is, remember, when the actual figure does come out, if higher, look to buy because it's better for the economy. If lower, look to sell because it's worse for the economy. Knee-jerk reactions, bear that in mind. And yeah, that's that for that. Now, moving on. Tip of the week. So, this is the part of the show where we give you a trading tip that you can take back and implement into your own trading strategy to make loads of money. So, let's go. tip of the week this week is candlestick crossovers. So now, with me, I feel like this is very important for every trader to know. Now, it's a very simple method, it's a very simple tactic, however, very good to use as well. So what it is basically only ever trade the side of the candlestick. So if the candles, in relation to the Ichimoku cloud, so if the candlesticks are below the Ichimoku cloud, as they are in this example, AUDJPY, you will see that it's always a good idea to sell. Now, if the candlesticks are above the Ichimoku cloud, always a good idea to buy. Now, this is the same for all time frames. So now, as we can see here on AUDJPY week chart, we can see that the candlesticks are below the Ichimoku cloud. If you move into the day chart, we can see that they are above. So now, as soon as you see this, you'll know that this isn't a good time to buy or sell. Just leave it alone for now and scroll through and look for others that you can trade. Now, when you do get to, let's find a good example. Okay, we've got the week chart, and we can see that the candlesticks have just broken below the Ichimoku cloud on the week chart. When we move into the day chart now, we can see that the candlesticks are below. 4-hour chart, candlesticks are below. It looks like it is testing it, but they're falling below. Come to the 30-minute chart now, candlesticks are above. So what this will tell us is that although the candlesticks are below for majority of the timescales, right now is not a good time to be in this trade. So although we know this is a good sell, we are going to close it and wait for the candlesticks to drop below the Ichimoku cloud once again on the 30-minute chart. As soon as that happens, good indication to continue selling this pair. Now, what else do we need to cover? So that's the tip of the week. Use that, implement it into your strategy. You're welcome. You're welcome. Now, we've also got an announcement as well. So, events. Now, on the 29th of April, myself and Icon Traders, we will be going into St. George's University. We will be going there to tell people the truth about trading, give them a real insight to the industry, and provide 10 people with £100 to start trading and also free access to our trading course. Now with this, what will they be able to do? They'll be able to start trading with our knowledge, the knowledge of our trading strategy, and also they will be provided the funds to trade with. Now, it's a no-brainer, it's a perfect situation, no catch at all. It's just, you can only attend if you are a student at St. George's University. Now, if you would like an event like this to come to your uni or your school or whatever it's your institution that you are in may be, please feel free to hit us up. All the contact details are below. And yeah, there's nothing else for me to say at this point. Thank you very much for watching. Go do something great with your life.